about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about. Hey friends, how you doing? It's Charles. It's time to talk about comics, and right now I want to talk about Boom Studios' Crocodile Black. In this review, I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to talk about too many specifics. I'm going to speak generally on my thoughts of the entire series. It follows a troubled young man who has mental health issues during toward the tail end of the pandemic. And a lot of factors are really pressing in on this kid, Danny, from his said mental health issues to him having undealt with trauma from the death of a sibling to, trying to adjust in a world where everybody was thrown off. And he has a job as a gig worker, as a delivery driver. And during the course of that, he stumbles across Mr. Black, a guy he was delivering for, and he discovered was passed away, which set all of these time bombs in his head off. And he discovered Mr. Black's journal about his past as a military man and the stuff he was going through. And it was like a combination of being uncomfortable in his own skin and wanting to transform into something else. He became Mr. Black and kind of took his place and morphed into, a killer and a monster, so to speak. And this comic does a few things very well. It takes you inside the mind of Danny, and when he is at his most manic, the art is chaotic and ugly and visceral. But then when you see through the eyes of another character, you get that photorealism back into the art. And so there's a clear distinction of Danny's point of view and the people who he acts with point of view. And one thing I really liked about this is when I got to number 5, I was wondering how are they going to end this complicated story. Like I said, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not going to give you big plot points and details. But what they did was kind of jarring to me personally, because I was expecting a concrete ending, whereas what they did here is it feels more like the beginning. And, Danny completely kind of falls into this alter ego and submits to this alter ego, and it's like kind of released into the Baltimore underworld. As in like, just introducing a non-native species in the wilds of Africa, or something like that. He's kind of, released into the Baltimore underworld, and it's mysterious what happens to him. Does he sink? Does he swim? Does he further devolve? And like I said, I was expecting a concrete ending, but what it does is it leaves room to revisit the story again without, a convoluted explanation. And so I appreciate that, and it lets you draw your own conclusions as well. I highly recommend, if you can find it in your stores, Crocodile Black from Boom Comics. And yeah, it is $4.99 an issue, but it's $4.99 well spent. And I'm sure they'll be coming out with the trade paperback soon. That might be one that I get, because this is such great writing. I'm going to read it again and again and again. And I don't want to put too much wear and tear on my comic books. I want to keep these nice and looking good. So I may indeed pick up the trade paperback. That's how good this is. I cannot suggest it enough. Find a local comic book store. And as always, if you don't have a local comic book store, check out my friend Jeff at Coffee and a Comic. And this is the last week you can take advantage of my personal deal And when you use code OLDNERDWY at Coffee and a Comic, you get 15% off through the end of October. So go check out their website. If you're in the Huntington Beach area, go walk into the store. They have a great selection of back issues and everything new that you're going to want. So I'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep reading them books. I am out.